Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, two dedicated Apple Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty Jencius, faculty member at Kent State University, podcaster, and an avid Apple product fan.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT, but my interest is in finding interesting ways to share content, currently photography of plants, birds, and panoramic sequences.
And joining us, safe from the storm, Daniel.
Your local Florida man and software engineer and VR AR enthusiast. Hello.
Florida man is not necessarily something you want to brag about.
It depends on the context.
Yeah,
in the context of being fearless and alligator hunter, sure, I'll take that.
Yeah. You know, Daniel was talking before we started the broadcast about how he managed to weather the storm pretty well, except for the power outage. Not a lot of problems where you were at?
Nope. We fled to Tallahassee and we got to comfortably watch a bunch of Twitch streamers covering the storm, which actually was rather entertaining. If you didn't watch any of the Twitch streamers, they had a lot of really good coverage that was actually better than, I mean, it's not very hard to be better than any web or the Weather Channel or local news channels.
Yeah.
But it was actually really engaging and cool. But no, I mean, we came out fine, and the only real sucky part on our end is just had to cut down a tree, but it didn't do any damage, and just took a long time for power to get on, and couldn't have been any luckier. Thankfully too, because I was kind of I don't mean to make a lot of light of this kind of thing, but at the same time I'm like, man, I really don't want, so I've been in Florida. Well, I've only lived in Florida, and this is actually really the first time I've ever fled for a storm as well.
Oh.
So part of me in the back of my mind is like, I don't want, I can't have the first storm to actually really seriously impact me be named Milton. Like I got killed, my house got destroyed by Milton. Come on. No, but
Milton's the kind of hurricane that you would beat up after school and steal their lunch money.
Yeah. Or so like Eugene's like, give me your lunch money, nerd, and give him a swirly. But no, it could have been much worse and have to, count my blessings. So.
Well, glad you're back with us and glad things turned out okay for you. The state's still having problems getting things going?
Not as far as I have
Okay.
noticed. It might be a little worse, a little more south in the Sarasota area. It's just like about an hour south, which is where I grew up too. But I mean, I think actually there may even be still some places up here, just some neighborhoods that may actually still have flooding. I can't recall, but there was some that lasted unusually long, that weren't even considered flood zones, which that was interesting. But I mean, it dumped a ton of water. It was like, I mean, we had flash flood emergency, which like I don't think that happens very often, if I recall. Warning, sure, but like emergency, I don't think that happens very often around here.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you back, and we've got some good stuff for the show tonight, I think. Just a reminder for folks, you can follow us on the live stream at youtube.com at Vision Profiles, Monday nights at 9 p.m., or catch the video later on YouTube or audio with any pod-catching service. So let's talk about a little bit of news and a little bit of notice. Have either of you watched the Apple immersive short Submerged?
Yeah,
Daniel?
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good.
Just trying to get your reaction to it, and if you see any future with this.
I mean, I really liked it. One of the things that as I was watching it is I wish I could have I mean how to say I wish I could have taken advantage of the immersiveness more, like to be able to look around more
Uh,
and feel more a part of the environment. And I was just also trying to think why that might have been, and I think probably a lot of that, like why it wasn't there, which there was a lot of it, don't get me wrong, but why maybe there wasn't, I'm just thinking like, you know, what would immersive video being done, like what could give me that experience, but also still have like storytelling attributes, like
yeah.
of techniques of how you film and cut and switch and whatever. Because some of those I felt like maybe like cuts were almost like maybe a little jarring, where it's like, no, I didn't want it to go away that quickly. Like maybe they could have done something clever or have more. Like if you're watching movies where they have those really long uncut scenes where it's like practically like 2 or 3 minutes of just completely uncut. And I don't mean fake uncut, I mean real uncut. If they could do something like that, like would be really neat and immersive as well to really
Mm.
enhance it. But it gave me, I mean, I'm looking forward to more, and I hope to see more like something feature length would be cool.
I'm a little afraid of feature length. I think when I took that headset off after that experience, it was like, wow. Everything I've read, people are wowed by it. People are saying this is the demo they should be doing in the store. Um, and but I was exhausted and thought, this is a different visual experience than I've had before on the headset. And I just wonder how much I'm going to be affected by it if it goes into a longer form. In terms of perception, in terms of vertigo, in terms of because it's so it feels so immersive. I mean, when you're looking at other things, you're watching something on a screen. You're watching something on a screen. This was you're in the middle of it. Of course, unless you turn around, then you realize you're not in the middle of it. But but yeah, I was a little concerned about longer form. I think it would be cool, but I would need to have to build up to it. I would also be fine if they just did 15-minute short form stories this way and cranked them out. That would be cool. Eric, your thoughts?
I was impressed with the videography. The immersive video seems to take a whole lot more planning. That the whole concept of you couldn't really see around you. You didn't get the scene that was the kind of continuous showing lots of different things. I think if you did that much motion, you'd have a bunch of sick people watching it.
Yeah.
And they did an excellent job of bringing in the characters, having them stand still long enough that you could kind of get a sense for the scene and a feel for anything before stuff started moving around. And at no point did I feel sick to my stomach or disoriented. Um, so I was just really impressed with how that was done. And pretty much all of the immersive films have been pretty good in that respect. And so, I don't have any idea how many takes they had to do to make that work. Uh, but I'm looking forward as they come up with more of these to see, that hopefully that continues. And then as everybody gets used to it, maybe they can get some of the bigger, longer scenes.
Yeah, at the same time, I say this would be what they should be showing in the Apple Store. They better have buckets, because there's the possibility people could get real sick from it, or just the claustrophobic aspect of this particular storyline. Um, and I've been in submarines, like at the museums and stuff like that, so I get it. But I initially I thought, how closed in am I going to feel in this process in watching it? Thought it was interesting. Thought it was good. Hope to see more of it, like Daniel says, maybe even something in long form. But that would be great for for people who are doing using spatial computing and using the devices. A little note that I read today that I thought was pretty interesting. It was Tim Cook speaking to the Wall Street Journal, and I'll quote it to you and see if you have any reaction or response to it. This is to the Wall Street Journal. He did an interview with them. At $3,500, it's not a mass market product, Cook says. Right now, it's an early adopter product. People who want to have tomorrow's technology today, that's who it's for. Fortunately, there's enough people who are in that camp that it's exciting. If you doubt the Vision Pro, you might be right. Or you might be as wrong as the skeptics who dismissed iPods, iPhones, AirPods. And from the success of the company's iconic products, Cook learned one more thing. It doesn't occur overnight, he says. None of these did. Any thoughts?
Fan service. No, I'm kidding. But
He managed to get the price in. That's the important part.
I mean, he's not wrong.
it is
Yeah.
definitely a strange one. I don't know if you would have ever heard that from Jobs back in the day. Not that we have to look at him as some kind of like messiah of Apple or anything like that, but it is interesting. And I mean, did anyone, well, I was about to say, did anybody else not think that? And then I stopped myself because yes, a lot of people do. Um, so,
Well, and it did answer the question of, does Apple think it's a mistake, or does Apple think it's not successful? This just says, yep, this is, the initial piece, and things are, moving along as they need to, and there'll be more.
And it'll evolve like all of the other products did that he talked about.
And it sort of implies that there will be a mass market product someday.
I mean, I don't see why not. And I mean, you know, this won't be the form factor forever. It better not be, for any of these products. But I do think as far as the interface and all that goes, the interaction models, spot on, So let's just now we just got to get the hardware down to, more reasonable from in every respect, more reasonable.
Okay. Let's get into the news. Eric posted something from TikTok. I don't go on TikTok.
Yeah, I was on Mastodon when I saw it.
And somebody, yeah, I always get
Uh-huh.
things forwarded on other devices about TikTok.
Likely story.
Yeah. And we'll have the link in the show notes so you can. But Primescan 2 and the Apple Vision Pro. Primescan 2, I went and searched for it. Primescan 2 is a device that dentists will stick in people's mouths to basically scan your teeth to be able to create bridges or be able to create replacement, kinds of things. It's an interesting device, but it's a wand that goes in the mouth, and you can see the video. Goes in the mouth and scans the portion of the mouth. In this case, it was, I think, a lower teeth set of the person in it. And I guess what they do is they get the architecture of the teeth, and that goes into a computer program that is associated with Primescan 2, but the three-dimensional version of it can come out and be integrated with Vision Pro. In this, they have a MacBook or a laptop sharing the program screen, and the person doing the scanning and demonstrating it says it's really nice because I can pull this thing off and bring it closer into my vision as a screen and really look at the teeth in terms of what's going to be needed to form any part with it. Kind of neat adaptive use of the technology. Um, I don't know if you have any reaction to
It,
that.
it was also interesting. I went back and kind of looked, and it looks like even as early as February of this year, there's a bunch of kind of examples of um, dental use of the Apple Vision Pro. And I suspect that's kind of where some of the surgical use of it started showing up. So, and it was sort of early versions of if you have this, here are all the different things you can do. And the super early versions of it talked about how patients could get used to a dental office, or, you know, it could be used for dental surgery, or it could be used to kind of review patient information and then kind of see from different angles. I think they were just throwing a bunch of ideas out there. So it's kind of nice to see a little bit later in the year an example of a product to kind of build a structure.
Yeah, I
And I,
mean, last week we had the San Diego article from the group that was using it for laparoscopic surgery.
Mhm.
And I think that hit the media pretty heavy. And what we're seeing now are articles that are pulling examples, including the San Diego piece, and putting them in like this is all the medical and dental kind of things that the AR can be used for.
Just gonna go on record to say that they're just copying me. This was literally one of the primary use cases I bought the Vision Pro for.
To
Um,
scan people's mouths.
Okay, well, not that, but no, but the 3D scanning tech in for dental goes crazy. First of all,
Yeah.
one, but two, like, yeah, I mean, but no, they are just copying me in that workflow. Even just the other day, I did a scan in mine where I just had, I just virtual displayed up, and it was still infinitely nicer instead of like, my screen being, wherever it is on the laptop, wherever it
Yeah.
be it's not where I want to be scanning, and so having to go and bend and look and did it get it? Did it stop? I don't know. No, 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 no. Go back. Nope. Just bring that over to me. Keep it right in my field of view. I can see everything that's going on right when I'm doing it in real time. I mean, it's exactly like the video, like verbatim. Now, just like let's expand that out, and like I would love it if it actually like projected onto whatever I'm scanning. Like if it was something large, obviously, like that mouth not going to work in there. You're not going to stick the Vision Pro in their mouth, but if it was something larger, it'd be cool to see the scan results also superimposed in real time.
Yeah, we talked about an article last week where, well, it was the San Diego article that had some other stuff in it, that included somebody doing like taking CAT scans of spines. And, CAT scans are nice three-dimensional objects, and placing it on top of a patient who's lying on the table to look at where they're going to be doing the surgery based on the scan superimposed on the patient. So some pretty cool stuff. Second article is about a heart specialist who is um, using Vision Pro for taking sections of heart, which you can also get from these kind of CT scans, and being able to create them in sections and bring them out into three-dimensional sort of ways. And he was working on some sections of them and demonstrating it. So it makes it easier for them to be able to explain what's going on and what's being perceived in the ultrasound from the object. So it's difficult for people to learn about it when you're doing 2D slicing of the heart, those flat sections that you see. But this adding a three-dimensional kind of thing to it is advantage for medical folks.
Well, it was neat too that you could bring up one view of the model and then a different view or a different set of slices and have them, next to each other and rotate them enough so that you could basically look at two different viewpoints. side by side, without just having a 2D screen. You can, arrange it exactly the way you want to see it.
Yeah. So some medical applications in the news. Another article in the news was, well, it was more of an essay um, that I thought was pretty interesting. It was a 9 to 5 Mac, and it was titled "EyeSight may be weird, but it's a step towards solving a key Vision Pro problem." And the person goes on to talk about isolation, or being isolated from folks when you're wearing a headset, is really a big problem. Um, and they make an argument that, well, people do that with their phones. It's just not headsets. They put their nose in their phone. But it seems a lot more isolative when you have a headset on. So they're making a strong argument that they need to, because there have been articles about how they're going to drop EyeSight because it's just extra technology and extra cost. Um, and it really is just a projection of the persona. It's not an actual camera capture of what's going on behind the screen. It's a projection of your persona. But the author makes an argument that this is important to do to reduce the amount of isolation that people feel, who are either wearing, or people around them feel, when someone's wearing a headset. And yeah, the googly eyes and the uncanny kind of stuff, uncanny valley stuff, is weird, but it's better than nothing. And other VRs don't have that right now. So
I have a question for you guys. Do you guys feel isolated wearing the headset? Or do you feel isolated because other people think around you are isolating you, if that makes any sense? Because the reason I say that, phrase it that way, is because I obviously had the headset with me while we were at my partner's brother's, which was killer for travel. Great, awesome. But I did not feel isolated. I don't feel isolated, but I did have a sense that maybe I was being isolated in the sense that other people around me who weren't as familiar thought like I was busy or engaged or doing something like not interruptible. So in that sense, yes, I felt isolated, but not, but because of different external forces in that like social contract, they don't necessarily know that they can just talk to me as if I was on my laptop.
that's a hard thing for me to gauge because I do most of my work down in the front room, living room of our house, either early in the morning or late at night. So people aren't around. So
Oh,
they're not isolated, they're asleep.
yeah.
I get the concept though, because that was a trick I used to do when I wanted to watch my son's soccer game or lacrosse game. And you get parents who show up and all they want to do is talk to you constantly through the whole game, or they want to talk to other people next to them constantly through the whole game. So I brought a pair of AirPods with me and put them in my ears. And it was like they
Mm,
wouldn't attempt to try and talk to me because I had earbuds in. And for whatever reason, it worked. I didn't turn them on. I just had them in my ears,
yeah.
and I could watch it. So that social contract that you have, that you're talking about, Daniel, I think is part of the equation, that people see you in that setting and they say, okay, we're not going to engage. We're going to isolate. I just don't have the data on it. The only time I wear it in public is when I'm on a plane, and really people are not paying attention to anything other
Yeah,
than their own
everyone's
stuff.
just trying to
Yeah.
zone out anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think eyesight isn't quite as obvious as it needs to be. For me, eyesight, the importance of eyesight really isn't the isolation part, it's a privacy thing where the headset you're wearing needs to let people know that you are paying attention to the outside world or you are not paying attention to the outside world. That's that's what it should be doing, and I think it's not always totally clear. What I have noticed is anyone who's been around somebody who wears a headset just comes up to you and assumes they can start talking and you will be able to see what's going on and interact. And they just kind of get used to it. And if you don't respond right away, there's a short pause. Then they continue assuming that, because I've got mine set so that it interrupts me so that people break in. And pretty much everybody, including the dogs, just assume that they can come up to me and, well, dogs don't really pop in the same way, but as long as I'm not immersive, you still can respond to them the way they're expecting, and they just treat it as if I'm wearing a pair of glasses. Um, New people that have never seen the headset before aren't quite sure. Um, they need like a couple interactions, and then it's sort of like, oh, you actually can tell what's going on around you. Which is why I'm saying that the eyesight's not quite there yet. I think it just needs to be more obvious, not less obvious. And I think it still is a key component. It's if you can't get to the point where you're just wearing glasses, you need to be able to get to the point where somebody can see your eyes are open and they're looking at you without making it creepy.
Yeah, in terms of like the technology, I'm still for pro eyesight. I want it like 30% sharper. I don't ever want it
Mm,
to get any more than that. Any more than that would be too uncanny.
Yep.
Um, and then yeah, until it's full pass through, like where you see my literal eyeballs, no, I'm not. I would like this to exist.
yeah,
Just another thing
yeah,
on the
go ahead.
isolation. I also actually just you made me realize there. It could actually also why maybe people feel isolated in it could also maybe come from I just realized like I don't use environments like at all. Pretty
Mm,
much never ever. So imagine if you use it all the time. Yeah, you probably do feel isolated. But you are literally in VR then, whereas I'm primarily AR all the time. I
yeah, that,
can't even tell you the last time I used an environment or anything fully immersive. Oh wait, yeah, I can. The submerged. But that doesn't
Yep.
count. I'm watching a movie. I'm watching a movie. That doesn't count. So
yeah, and I attempted to interrupt you twice, not because you're saying anything wrong, but it was exactly what I was thinking. That I don't do much immersed environments. I'm usually got screens up. I can see when somebody walks into the room. I can even say something to them. Uh, and the article goes on to talk about that there are some headsets that are just fully immersive all the time, but Apple's got the possibility of doing one or both, depending on how you set it as. It's generally it winds up icons floating around in the real space that you're looking through. So
So I have a question. Have either of you tried using it in a completely dark room?
I
yeah,
can't.
not in a minute though.
So
Yeah, I
I
can't
have
say I have. No.
I haven't recently because it didn't work very well early on. And evidently it's not bad. You just have to slow everything down because it takes longer to register gestures. But I had been assuming you couldn't use it in total darkness. But now I'm thinking, I could put a Mac Mini in the corner of a room and it could be totally dark and put AirPods in and actually do a little bit of stuff because the virtual screen doesn't click when you press the keys and can kind of keep an eye on a few things and decide whether I really need to get up and to go do something or whether I can just kind of monitor things for a little bit. Could be a bad idea for my sleep, but
Yes. That was my first comment. I was gonna be like, no. But also I admire the idea and I respect it. Um, but yeah, no, no, actually, normally if I'm gonna use it, if I'm gonna use it like in the dark-ish, I'll actually turn on the lights and then put on an environment. But that's like, it's 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't want to whatever, but I want to do the thing. I want to use the Vision Pro. So I'll turn on the light and then I'll use an environment to be darker. So my
Well, yeah,
perception is dark, but then
yeah.
everything else can still detect everything
It's
quicker.
responsive, right?
I've got a simple answer to your question. No, I don't wear it in the dark because I can't find the pretzels.
Oh, see, that's why you get big IR illuminators and strap it to the side so you have extra night vision.
Ah,
Actually, I had seen some people doing that, like additional infrared lights on it, which it already has some, but I don't
Yeah,
think they got night vision with doing that,
I've
but
seen
that would be
people do
cool.
I've seen people do lights down like where their hands are,
hmm.
and just to be able to register the hand counts. Now,
Oh,
Uh,
frankly, that happens too on airplanes because if the whole cabin goes dark, yeah, I wind up turning on some overhead lights for the purpose of them being able to register my hand tracking.
hmm.
Daniel, you're moving around like you've got something to prove.
the audio audience cannot tell, but I have, if you know what retro reflectors are, right,
Oh,
street lights and stuff, right? And I
Yeah.
don't think even on the video it would show up, but I have all these markers and they're retro reflectors. um, for 3D scanning, right? Because they show up really well for tracking stuff.
Yeah.
right.
I'm just gonna put some on my fingers. So the
Uh,
IR
oh,
illuminators have extra
yeah.
light to reflect off of. That actually might work too. Like I'm gonna
Huh.
just stick a bunch on my hands.
Could
That
you
that
get like little bioluminescent stickers that would glow in the dark?
no, they don't glow in the dark. They're like street signs.
Yeah, I
Um,
got that, but I'm saying, could
oh,
you repl could would that work
oh,
with like little phosphorescent tips?
oh, maybe. Depends how much it needs to detect to tell it's your hands. I
Yeah.
mean, and the same question goes for the retro reflectors. But that's an interesting point. Maybe get or alternative, maybe get gloves that have retro reflectors in them, like for like construction workers at night or something.
Okay, we're going down a rat hole right now. Let's talk about the new beta. Beta. We got beta 5, and then 5 days later we got beta 6.
And nothing
So
interesting in them, at least what I can
no,
tell.
no, I did some searching and found that some key updates include smoother responsiveness and minor visual adjustments like slightly darker windows. Additionally, issues like pass-through mode jitters, especially in low light environments, remain, but overall, the update is seen as a step forward in stability and usability for developers. And no Mac virtual display.
Yeah, no one cares until the ultra wide
Yeah.
comes out.
So that's new with betas. And I'll have links in there to the articles, never say much about what's in them. Um, but there is a developer uh, blog from Apple that has the documentation. I'll have the link in for that.
So this is all
Okay,
the
and
release
yeah,
candidates now, right? So
yeah.
hopefully within a week.
Oh, it is release candidate? I thought it was
No,
still beta.
It came out
no,
today. I thought that's what you were talking about.
no.
Oh, wait. He's right. It says
We had a
RC.
new release today.
2.1 RC?
I'll put it in chat.
Am I blind? Maybe I'm blind. Maybe I'm just so used to every other beta that's a big nothing burger that I just assumed.
Well,
Unless I'm not reading it right.
Apple issues release candidate for Apple Intelligent OS updates.
But it said visionOS in there. Oh,
Hmm.
not for watchOS. But yeah, everything else was.
Oh,
So they
Well,
released another.
unless I'm not reading that right. It was a weird article. It's written funny. So it's possible I'm not reading it right, but it still is close. It's within a week or so of.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, even on the developer thing, it says it's an RC. So I'm hoping so. There's been some other beta and not announcements, but some other confirmations of some software updates coming in the next week or so too. Like I saw one that was suggesting that the new AirPods Pro hearing aid feature should be in the next iOS
Mhm.
18.1, like this coming week or next week or so. So they're probably going to roll out all these in the next week or so, which would potentially co-align with a Mac event, which where's this Mac event here? That's what I
I
need
don't
to,
think it's
that's
going
what
to
I
happen.
want.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Uh,
I don't think an event will happen.
I just want a new MacBook Air.
Well,
Yeah.
if you figure if at least some of the hardware should be available for ordering, if nothing else, by the 1st of November, then that would mean the week before that we should have OS updates because you wouldn't want to do both at the same time. So who knows?
Well, first thing I'm going to do after the show is put my headset on and see if there's an
Let's see
update.
if there's an update.
I did it last night and I'm like, okay, maybe nothing's coming. I might have even done it this morning.
I did mine
Yeah.
this morning.
And you didn't see an update?
Yeah, it
I
wouldn't have been
didn't.
until this afternoon if it came
Oh,
because it
yeah,
would
because
have
I
been noon.
updated to whatever beta this morning. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe yeah, I need to try later.
And I'm
Okay.
not doing beta, so I can't confirm it yet.
Yeah. Eric jumped that track. He's
Boo.
back on the slow train.
Boo.
Okay, stories. Vision Pro Crackgate is real and it's still happening. Take it from me. This is an appleosophy.com. I had never heard of this website.
What a name.
Appleosophy. It is a nice story about poor person got cracks. They've been checking it religiously to make sure that that was not going to be a problem, and they went ahead and got cracks. They woke up one day and it was there. And they lived a good distance from the nearest Apple store. So the story goes on to talk about the interaction they had with people over the phone in terms of help, kind of the hope they got from it. I don't I don't think anywhere in here does it indicate whether the user had paid for Apple Care on it.
It still should have been covered under, it's still
Yeah,
covered
well,
under warranty,
that
yeah.
yeah, ultimately in the story that turns out that it was covered. But um gives a little faith, creates a little faith in the goodness of the company.
I have to wonder if this is this guy's like first or second Apple product or something, because I, I don't know. I read it and he seemed so it's a good story, but he seems so dramatic, perhaps. I mean, because I remember mine I had it too, and it's like I just now he was an hour away from the Apple store, but I just went to the Apple store and it was bada bing bada boom. I had a new one on Friday. That's in the
Uh,
same within the same working week. Um, I don't know. I mean, that's why I keep buying Apples, just because I have that confidence that they're just gonna take care of it.
yeah, he had to ship his in, and they wanted to. They want. It sounded like they wanted to put some sticker on it to make sure it wouldn't crack any further. And they
Oh,
wound up. He wound up like covering it with paper or something to make. He didn't feel good about using the sticker.
But no, the sticker was missing in his kit.
Oh,
mm.
And then when he talked to them, he said, "I'll just put something soft in there to cushion it or something."
yeah,
And they took care of it and came back. So it was a happy ending.
yeah.
Speaking of the front-facing technologies, actually, Crackgate is actually one where you might see them not be as extreme with curving the glass in future versions.
Uh,
If there's any front facing technology they might want to change is maybe not do that as much to improve reliability. But I still think even so, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but it's still not, it can't be humongous so far, at least in terms of percentages.
Yeah. All right, renewals. I just had to put this one in because the season finale was a week or so ago. Bad Monkey has apparently has a 3-season plan now. So it's not just one season they're renewing, but they have a 3-season plan with the series. I don't know if either of you have watched this.
Mm-mm.
It's so good. Florida Man, you should be watching this. This is Carl Heisen's books.
I am not familiar, but is it does it have Florida Man vibes? I mean,
Oh yeah.
we got a promo picture here of a guy with like a monkey on his back giving a popsicle to him. So, yeah, we got some Florida Man vibes here.
No, the guy who wrote it used to write for the Miami Herald, the crime division. And so he was doing the crime beat. So he then went out and created all these successful books as a result of it. So this could, in a way, go on a while if they wanted to. Um,
Interesting.
um, but they've got 2 more seasons locked in, which is pretty cool. So
I'm gonna add that to download that now.
yeah, it's a 10 season first season and really really well done. Hey, come on, it says Floridian oddballs and one bad monkey.
It better live up to the name. That's all I'm
Well, the
gonna say.
monkey, well, you'll be disappointed if you're looking for a really bad monkey. But yeah, this is done with
Mm.
Lawrence, Bill Lawrence, who did what is it, Ted Lasso, and did or is doing Shrinking. Uh, so he's producing or had produced this, which was pretty cool. But the story is, guess what? It's coming back for 2 more seasons. There were a ton of articles. If we just wanted to cover renewals, it seemed like Apple must have made some decisions to put a lot of press out on shows that were going to be renewed or it's contract season time or something. But there are a lot of articles on what's being renewed. This one caught my eye because of my enjoyment for it. And of course, I think in a week or so or a couple of weeks, Silo season 2 starts.
Mm.
Slow Horses has already started with the new season. So yeah, a
Fun
lot of
fact.
things happen.
Fun fact, the
Um,
monkey is named, his real name is Crystal the monkey. That's his real name.
Huh.
I'm
so let
looking
me
at
get
the
this straight.
IMDb page.
While I'm jawing away at this thing, you're looking for monkey trivia.
Hey, I downloaded it. It showed the cast, and I'm like, let me look at this cast. Oh, Crystal the monkey. I know him.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Let's go on to the next thing. Rumors. Shocking. Apple Vision Pro reportedly canceled. This comes from an Apple Scoop story. And
Man,
I don't
so
know, pardon?
hasn't that been out for a while, or is this a new version of the?
This was, from what I can tell, it was released recently because when I did my search, this came up like was released, 4 hours ago or 3 days ago or something like that. But you're right. It's got a lot of the same stuff that we've seen all over. They've got to get it down to, a high-end phone like $1,600. So everybody apparently is remains an expert on Apple's uh, sales strategy.
I almost think it's not a hardware issue. I think the slowness in having something come out is that they're not done with software.
You mean having a new one come out?
Well, I mean, if you look at all of the apps that have been released that aren't quite done, or if you look at the Photos app, you can't get info to tell, what device did the photo. You can't edit any photos. Maybe that's hardware, but the software certainly doesn't support it. There's a bunch of other software. It runs, it works, but it's kind of minimal. It's like when they were rewriting apps and they released the first version, but they weren't quite done yet. Kind of like they put a bunch of effort into this and then they had to get the new OSs out and the Apple Intelligence out. And so they had to pull everybody back into teams. And then there's not going to be enough time to put them back again to rework on software until a little bit later. So push everything out. And that'll give time for the hardware to mature. That'll give time for Apple Intelligence to run through and figure out what other tweaks will be out. And then there'll be time to do some new software, focus software engineers a little bit more. And then you can come out with new hardware and it'll be a much bigger update. That's,
The article basically says they're going to dump Vision Pro 2, that they're going to just move their market down in terms of cost and
I mean, they'll try and do something cheaper, and then Vision Pro 2 will come out. It's just going to be a little later. But I think that's what they've said in other articles. I'm not sure there's anything new. I think they're just rewriting and speculating. But I still think that, there needs to be some time for software to mature a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you can just say make it better, everything but better, which would be fine enough, but then also seeing what you can you can how to say make hardware decisions based on also the software people
Yep.
are writing or discovering that they know they want, and then could be accelerated by different hardware decisions as well. And I mean, if it seems almost consensus in a way that the Vision Pro is like kind of the peak in terms of hardware in for this category. So like if it's the peak, like it's pushing bounds already. A lot of the things that would improve it, like we need just new physics things to happen.
yeah.
We need new battery tech. Like we need new this and that. Not that they can do that or whatever, but that's not gonna come next year.
Well, but I mean, like they could reissue it with new current chips.
Yeah, that'd be
And that
nice.
would draw less power. It would be faster. It might be able to do both all of the internal calculating for where everything is, plus be able to do some of the Apple Intelligence stuff. But if you wait just a tiny bit, you can then release Apple Intelligence everywhere else, let everybody play with it, get some feedback, make it through a developer conference, get some feedback from everybody who finally has devices around the world and has tried doing some stuff, and then say, oh, okay, now we have all of the results of all of this research and what everybody's been doing. Now let's put new hardware in, and it should be a much better result.
Yeah, no sense in rushing right away, for sure.
Because
Especially since they have all those other
yeah,
things to do.
well, there's enough that you can play with, and you can tweak and play with all of the Apple Intelligence stuff. It's just not all on the same device quite yet. But it lets us kind of preview it all. And then when it all comes back together, because I think it'll all be needed. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just switching around a little bit. We're talking about the competitors. And in the last week, we've had MetaQuest 3S come out. I've got one, and I have a 3 already. I was tempted to get the 3S. I'm going into the holidays with a bunch of little kids and, family members and stuff like that, so I can bring the devices and let them play for a while. Um, I don't notice a great deal of difference between the Quest 3S and the Quest. A little bit more of a screen door effect with the Quest 3S, but not enough to take away from the experience. I did, since it had been months since I put my Quest on, when I put on the 3S, I immediately started loading and on the from the same account apps like Beat Saber, and they did a new rendition of it, and so I turned it on and thought, well, I'll do a little Beat Saber. I don't know. I couldn't figure out how to get past the controls. It had
Hmm.
become so complicated with like a wall of choices.
Hmm.
I just want to press the go button. And that wasn't quite there like it used to be there. So I gave up and I'll go on the web and figure it out somehow. But I did spend some time fishing with it and the usual stuff. It's real clear to me that at least my use with the Quest is gaming or some sort of relaxing type of activity with it. And I'm not doing that with no surprise, I'm not doing that with the Vision Pro.
At least in terms of the display, do you think the display difference is worth the extra $200?
Between the 3 and the Q
Uh-huh.
3S, no, I don't.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and because most folks are not looking at it with the scrutiny that you or I might look at it, most folks are putting the headset on. It's like, I want to see those things come at me so I can hit them. They're not really going, oh, wow, this is it. The experience itself is the oh, wow.
Yeah.
The acuity of the experience is just for vision nerds like us.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel perfectly safe taking this to Thanksgiving and giving it to my 10-year-old grandniece or grandnephew and let them have at it. Hopefully, they'll run into some furniture or something that will,
Ow.
At least
yeah,
there's no big front glass to break if they do that.
yeah.
Take some take some band-aids and
No, take some big clear tape for
No,
this.
and
Oh
then,
wait.
and what I can
some
do
wise
is
packs.
when something happens, I can complain about the lack of parental supervision for the child.
Hmm.
Ow.
It's not the fact that I brought this toy in, it's the fact that you don't supervise them.
Yeah, you shouldn't have let me in with these.
Yeah. How silly of you to trust me. So three articles on that, one from PC Mag, where they, in one of these articles, or maybe both of them, they kind of line up column by column to tell you what the differences are in terms of battery, acuity, things like that, um, with the two versions of the S and then the MetaQuest 3.
And in the PC Mag article, they want to show off the software by showing the Vision Pro App Store in one of the screenshots
Yeah,
too,
that was a
which
weird
is
thing. Yeah, thanks for.
interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. In the PC Mag, they take a still shot. Yeah, it's pretty much down near the end of the article where they're talking about storage and they're talking about yeah. And what do they
Oh wow.
show? They show
Huh.
a still from the Vision Pro.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Reddit saying like,
Yeah,
"Come on, get it together."
yeah, I saw
And
that,
I,
which
I
is a
even I even looked at it, I'm like, "Is that really it?" Like, because I don't have a Quest, so I'm not familiar. And I'm like, "Is that really? Oh, that's Juno. Yep. Okay.
and it's not even an app that you can get.
Yeah, I can't even get it anymore. Funny.
All right. So those three articles will be posted again. You can find it on in the show notes, both the video on YouTube and also in the podcast that we do. You'll find the links to all of these. I didn't know how to title this section, so I just put app news. it's not really, we're going to talk about the new apps, but press came out from Mac Rumors talking about LAPZ, LAPZ app, lets you watch Formula One races on the Apple Vision Pro. And I guess what it does, it downloads the data and then it creates the 3D map. And it's it's after the race. So they're taking and combining cameras from all different locations around the track and drivers to be able to allow you to go to different points and see the view with it. It sounds pretty cool. I find car racing, a drag. Can I say that?
Yes, because it's also a pun.
Yeah, I know. That's why
Okay.
I just it's to me it's less exciting than basketball, and I find basketball really boring. It's just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it's with racing, it's round and round and round and round and round. So I'm never going to invest in the app, but it was an interesting story that talks about how it is set up and how you can pull races directly in.
Yeah, I'm really liking all the sports viewing in Vision Pro. Very cool. Now, if only if I like sports. And as I said that, I was thinking I don't like sports, but I've been known to watch an esports game, some Counter-Strike.
Mhm.
I just was playing some earlier and I thought, oh, actually,
Hmm.
esports game being broadcast in such a way. And since it's already a video game, you could have the 3D map and all that, the different player perspectives all at the same time in sync. It's already digital, already there. That'd be cool, actually. Um, I'd watch some Counter-Strike matches in the Vision Pro like that.
Another bit of news with Infuse Video Player. It's been updated with a new design and with a Vision Pro app now. Infuse is on other platforms, but it's been pulled into Vision Pro with I guess, a native Vision Pro app, not something that's been ported through. Uh, I, I played with it. Um, it's fine. There's nothing that um, wows me about it at this point. It costs, I don't know how much it costs, maybe $9 or $10 to get it. And it was okay. I mean, it just seemed like a really simple interface from what I saw.
The biggest plus for it is that you can have the same app on your iPad, your phone, your Apple TV, and your computer, and now the Apple Vision Pro. So it's the same interface. You could set up a server, have it talk and synchronize between everything, and you know, so if you're trying to do like a movie server in the house or something,
Yeah.
it's convenient. I use it for watching like tutorials, training sessions, or conferences because it's easy. I just have it sitting on a machine, and then from my Apple TV, I can watch it. Um, and then the only thing I noticed is with the new Vision Pro app, I haven't figured out how to download subtitles.
Yeah.
The I on the Apple TV app I can do it. I can do it on the computer, but I didn't. It's either not there yet, or they didn't think you'd need it. I'm not sure, but
Hmm.
so that's something I'm starting to look at on all the different um, video apps I'm testing, whether or not I can
So,
figure out how to get subtitles.
so you're an Infuse app user?
Yes.
Okay. There's an expert in the house. All right, let's go to new apps, um, or new apps worth mentioning. I've been picking this stuff off of Reddit, so I see them on Reddit, and sometimes I respond and say, we'll cover this on the show. Try and drive some traffic this way. Sky Drifter.
Yeah, just pay the $4.
Yeah.
Man, I was so annoyed. It's like,
You
I
didn't, you didn't,
died.
you
Oh, I
didn't even
died, but I
get,
did so much better. Oh, I died again. I did so much better. I died one more time. Ah, $4.
okay,
Fine.
describe the concept for our listeners. Um, it's sort of like you get to be Superman
Yeah, but you start out on a
and
deserted island in the middle of the ocean,
yeah,
and there are
and,
obstacles when you try and escape.
Wait, can I try to make a guess at what this game is, and then you tell me if I'm accurate or not? I haven't seen it, just the few screenshots. It's Flappy Bird.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh
kinda, kinda. Except you're not flying through the posts, you're trying to fly around them.
okay.
And you're not flapping. You're just putting
And you're
your
not
hands
flapping.
out
Yeah.
forward,
And
and
like
that
you don't
moves you.
right.
Now you can try
Okay.
and
And
like
you can lean.
turn to the right,
Yeah.
turn to the left.
So a
I
little
didn't see if
Superman
there's
action.
yeah, I don't know if there's a way to slow down. I think it's the constant at
Yeah,
whatever speed you get to, that's what you're doing.
yeah. And you can, you can shift away from one just enough to run into the next one.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it tells you how many feet you've gone. So when you die, you know that yeah, you made it an extra foot. It's just pay the $4. It's well worth it.
It's bubblegum. It's fun bubblegum. And frankly, it's an easy app for anybody to demo. I mean, you could give it to a friend and say, okay, go into the app. Now put your hands out and go nuts.
And it works
Well,
sitting in an office chair and you won't knock anything over.
yeah. With Meta, I bought I realized I can only use apps that are low level of visual disturbance.
Hmm.
Like there was one that they had that was it's peak diving basically, with the outfits on that have wings on them, peak diving, and you're going and you're flying through like a flying squirrel would. I slammed into so many walls with that flying off, and it was so disturbing to my balance in the process that I had to take the headset off and fall back on the bed because I was just getting too much dizzy from the experience. Didn't happen with Sky Drifter. Of course, I wasn't flying very long, but it didn't happen with Sky Drifter. Spatial Reminders is another app to talk about, and this gives you the ability to put reminders and move them from one separate listing to another separate listing. You can organize projects. You can, so key thing with this is have you're running basically stuff through your reminders app. So if you're using multiple devices, you definitely want to do the sync with your reminders app.
Hmm.
This app is only available for Apple Vision Pro, so it's a native app. $15 cost, and it's pretty good if you are into using reminders as an environment.
I like to be a task manager, project manager, productivity manager, software kind of junkie. So I'm
Yeah,
like, ooh, kind of want to try it, but then also at the same time, immediately just like I like the concepts here, but yeah, I might try this, but it makes me wonder how I think this would be so much cooler when we have like a Vision OS like 3 or 4 with better like anchoring of things. Because I'm just thinking like, okay, it's really cool. Like in the demo, they show it and dragging like the reminder to water the plants and drag it by them. But that is cool. But now I want it to stay there permanently.
Yeah.
between boots, whatever. Like I just want it
Yeah.
there all the time. Um, so I mean, it doesn't mean don't start and do it now, but then like imagine when it's kind of like that, I could just kind of have them lingering everywhere, like little, literally virtual post-it notes almost. But
Yeah, in my feeble attempt to try and get control of my life and my workspace, like you, Daniel, I have been kind of a
oh yeah,
task management organizer, and I've done things, and I've done Todoist, and I've done Omni Plan. I've purchased a lot of them, and my organizational ability to get through the day is still screwed up.
yep.
So I decided to kind of downstep it. And now I'm trying to use reminders. That's the running task list that I have to get things done. And it makes it manageable and it's easy to input. And I don't have to think in large teams or projects. I'm not doing things with teams or projects. This app might be appealing just for that purpose, that it happens to be the flavor of the month I'm using right now in terms of organizing my work, or at least reminding me what I have to get done.
Hmm.
Throw it in reminders and then be able to move it around with this. All right. This I thought would be fun. The Cup Toss Challenge. Basically beer pong. If I have it right. Um, I don't know. Was beer pong trademarked? Uh,
Probably can't. Oh, actually, as I was
yeah.
about to say, you probably can't name it that on the App Store. And then I remember
Yeah.
there was all those app stores like drink the
Yeah.
virtual beer,
Oh.
so
I didn't think of that.
What for
So
this?
yes,
Oh,
yeah.
I was just gonna
So
say it took me quite a while for this one to figure out how to correctly pick up the ball.
yeah,
I actually had to
yeah.
go read the instructions and said, look at the ball and pinch, and then it just grabs the ball. Whole lot easier than my trying to reach out and actually grab
Physically
it.
picked it off the
Yeah.
table. Yeah.
So once I got past that, it was much more pleasant.
I have problems with these games knowing when to release. So either mine falls flat or mine goes into the next yard. I mean, literally out my house and into the next yard.
Hmm.
Um, what appealed to me about this app was the person presented it as like on Reddit and said, "Oh, please look at this. Give me some feedback on it. This is my first app that I've created. I just got inspired and and it was free, you know. And I just want to know I've made something that somebody's used. And so I think this guy I emailed and said we'd put it on the show. So yeah, I played with it a little bit. Um, Weirdly enough, like the first couple of times I threw something, it got in the cup. And I was like, oh, great. And then like my brain took over and that made it impossible for me to throw something as cleanly as I did with the first two by accident. And then I also had like the scoreboard in the middle in the way of my view towards the cups.
Yeah, you
So
gotta
I had to
kind of.
figure out how to move that to get it out of the way. Uh, but yeah, I would say folks should download it, play it, say something nice and encouraging to the developer. Um, Give maybe some suggestions, little steps that they can take to improve the app and help them with their desire to create.
I'd like it to get to the point where you can play it sitting down because it seems to
Yeah.
play better if you're standing up. But if you could get it where you could sit in a chair and then while you're thinking, just keep throwing the ball at the cup, that
Well,
would be.
like we covered that card deck game last week where you could literally move the table up and down from wherever you're sitting. It's wonderful. They put little handles on the table so you can lower it and get it to a
Yeah.
usable place. And this might be something for Cup Toss Challenge.
But the
And
ball
it's
always comes back to you, so you don't have to go chasing the ball. That appealed to me.
but it's not as immersive. You don't have to stand and actually go get the ball, whatever. And I say all that like I would know. I've never played beer pong.
Yeah, I was never much on it. I mean, I think it post-dated my times in bars. We got 25-cent hot dogs and pitchers for $2. So by the time we got around beer pong, and I'm in a college campus now and drive down Fraternity Row, and they've got all the boards set up outside their house. So it still is alive and active, and now you can play it with Vision Pro.
This sort of reminds me of, getting fish by throwing ping pong balls at the fish bowl at the fair.
Ah, you're right.
Yeah, but these are plastic cups, so the physics is completely different. It get in the cup, it stays in the cup. It doesn't hit
It
the
doesn't
rim,
bounce out.
doesn't hit the glass, the small glass rim, and then bounce away.
Well, it's less stressful, and then you don't have to take care of a fish. So this is
Yeah,
better.
yeah. Last app is a copy and paste clipboard called One Tap, and it is a app that allows you simply to copy and paste within the Apple ecosystem, or with the Vision Pro ecosystem. It is available on multiple platforms. So the nice thing about it is if you buy it on one platform, you can sync and do stuff on multiple platforms with it.
I just realized that I don't think the Mac ecosystem has universal clipboard unless you're using handoff, between
Yeah.
devices and sharing the whatever. But there's no reason why iCloud couldn't have iCloud clipboard. Hmm. But yeah, this is cool. I mean, this seems like what iCloud clipboard would be if it existed.
Yeah. It talks about using GPT-4 with One Tap AI from any app.
Yeah, I might need to try this one just because I'm curious why and how they're doing some of that.
Yeah, it is a bit pricey if I remember. Let me go in and look at it. In-app purchases. Yeah, it's a subscription model. Monthly for $199, annual for $19.99. You can get One Tap Pro Lifetime for $34.99 as it's listed, but then it said a offer One Tap Pro Lifetime for $24.99. I didn't get that offer when I went in to upgrade,
Hmm.
or at least to pay for it and make some decisions about what I was going to purchase. So I think I hit the lifetime and wound up dropping $35 on it. So um, interesting app. And we'll have the link in the show notes for folks to be able to look at this and other apps that we discuss on the show. Anything else y'all would like to talk about?
I have a question
All right.
for video apps. So I already talked about the whole I wanted subtitles. And right now I'm using an iPad version of VLC to grab and download subtitles. And
Huh.
that works. I'm just not sure why it's not showing up for the other apps. If you come across the ability to download subtitles in one of the other apps, let me know. But my question is, if you've got 2D and 3D content, um, what do you use? Which video app do you use to see it? And there are a couple out there that seem to work, but some of them you like set it in 3D mode and it's always in 3D mode. You have to then change it out of 3D mode if that's not what you have. And then it wants to know what kind of 3D mode, is it side by side or whatever. So I'm kind of curious. It might be something we look at in like a future episode, how to, what are the different options, depending on what cameras, like if you have a 360 camera or you've content from the iPhone or old side by side 3D video content or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking like old 3D Blu-rays, old in air quotes, but I know there was some
Yeah.
effort that uh can convert those to be on the Vision Pro, but that's an interesting point I hadn't considered. I should
So
go get some of those old
yeah.
3D movies and see.
So I was looking at Reality Player, Skybox, Moon Player, VLC, and Infuse were the ones I was looking at. Partly
Yeah.
because Marty had sent me a grid of different video players. So I was starting to look at those. But
I bet you in the short term you'll just pick up one. You'll have ones dedicated for certain things in the
and
meantime.
and and that might be the best way to do it, but
Yeah.
I was sort of curious. And some of them are really good from an immersive standpoint. You could do the immersive and then you could place yourself at different places in the theater. That's kind of nice. And then there's a couple where when you go to watch the video, it picks the size and it's either like really big, plastered almost at your face. And it took me a while to figure out how to push it away a little bit. Others where you just get a window and you can position the window kind of where you want. So kind of depending on, whether it's a user that can adjust and move the video around or needs to have the video always showing up at a viewable distance. So I could see benefits just from an accessibility standpoint of different options.
I just did a Google search on this. Here are some video player apps that support subtitles on Apple Vision Pro, Infuse 8, and then VLC. And Infuse 8 has a variety of formats, like a lot of formats for subtitles.
So,
You can also turn on subtitles and closed captions in supported apps on Apple Vision Pro. To do this, you can, while playing video content, tap subtitles and captions, choose from a list of available subtitles and captions, or customize the subtitles and captions by going to Settings, Accessibility, Subtitles, and Captioning.
so that works if you have content that has subtitles built into the content.
Right.
But if you have content that's missing subtitles, you need to go out and download the subtitle.
Yeah, I mean,
And
there are programs that you
so,
can run, video programs you can run it on, not necessarily, not that I know in the Vision Pro, that will generate subtitles.
well, but then you got to wait for it to generate. Like VLC, you can say, hey, I'm watching this. I want subtitles. It'll go out and say, okay, here are 15 versions of subtitles. Pick the one you want. It'll download it. You look at it. Yep, it all syncs up and you continue watching. On
Yeah.
Infuse on other platforms, you can do the same thing, download the subtitle and watch. So it's a particular use case, but if you're
Yeah, they talk, other stuff that I found before I got to this link was talking about Navi, an app that
oh,
apparently does translation or subtitles that you can, what I saw was it will listen to what you're listening to create a translation or a subtitle.
Mm.
So
Oh,
you
like
might look at that.
real time subtitles.
Yeah, I can't speak to that, but
Hmm.
that's what it sounded like.
I've tried a couple of times just sticking an iPhone up with live captioning. And if it's relatively clean audio, it's surprisingly not as horrible as you might think. You get, probably 60 to 70% of the content correctly.
Yeah.
An interesting
The
solution.
the video player that I use to get subtitles is Apple TV. Um, you know, I don't import a lot of videos, so I watch what's on there or what I've purchased, and you can switch on subtitles pretty easy with those because it comes with subtitles.
So Eric, I take it you're watching a lot of 3D video and I mean you care about the subtitles. So I how does subtitles work in a 3D video? I've never thought about this.
Well, the 3D video, I mean, if it's got subtitles, it just puts them up and they're a little bit of distance from the screen.
Yeah, they actually have depth to it. That's what I was wondering. Like, do
Yeah.
the words actually have depth? I'm
Like
like,
the Apple TV ones, the 3D Apple TV videos have really nice subtitling and it's clear and easy to read and offset. That Disney, I think, does okay subtitles also where they're positioned like it's part of the 3D. I don't know if it's every movie or just some of them, but that it's worth looking at them specifically to see how they do it because it's kind of cool. Some of the older stuff, it's a little more iffy. Although with the whole pass-through video, as I said, you can just stick a phone there and do it that way.
iPhone mirror your phone into it. There you go.
Huh.
Well, the only thing I use subtitles for is slow horses,
For the
because the British is so thick on that that I have to put subtitles on it. Anyways, we've been at it for about 90 minutes now, so I think we can do a wrap and you can search for the elusive subtitle automatically generating video playing software that you're looking for. Thanks for tuning in to the show for folks who are listening live or folks who are picking this up on a podcast. We'd love to hear from our listeners. If you have ideas or want to join an episode, email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com. If you're a developer, you're working on an app, or if you're a user and you just want to join in as a third or fourth member with this group, happy to have you here. Our bumper music is Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. Daniel, it is good to see you again. Anything you got going on this week that you want to talk about or promote?
No, but I have an open challenge. I challenge somebody to come on the show and debate me about why to get rid of EyeSight.
All
I want to fight the internet on this one. Like,
right. Well, thanks for the warning. But yeah, that's a fine. Eric, what's new with you? Anything you want to let users know about?
Um, if you're trying to get the fall foliage, the leaf color change, and you want to do depth video, sticking your head out of the car with a Vision Pro on record is not the best solution. You get a lot of wind noise and you get bugs all across the glass. Have not quite solved that. The phone is a little better, still doesn't solve the wind noise, but yeah.
I have to imagine the wind force as well with that extra mass on your head is immediately like flinging you back, and now you got to fight against that. But now you just gave me an awful idea since I have three convertibles in this
Hey,
house.
now, why don't you just stop the damn car and get out of it
Because
and
it's
take
the
pictures.
foliage on the sides of the roads as you're driving through that drive. It's a particular drive I'm trying to record.
Oh.
I'll
Use your
come up.
iPhone. Use
Wait.
your iPhone. Put it on a gimbal.
That's actually what I was like, well, you got a new phone. Put your phone on it. Strap it to the side. Stick it
Yeah.
on a suction cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure it's real secure.
Well, and that's not a bad idea. I mean, I might have to like stick it on a hand cart and actually walk up the hill instead of doing it from a car.
That might be interesting. Okay, well, I'm glad we solved that problem. Learn more about us and Vision Profile Podcast at our website, visionprofiles.net. And all of our available podcasts are at thepodtalk.net. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.